Over the last 700 years, from Tonghua region, since 1036 to Fusuan capital under the Dacian dynasty, from 1788 to 1801, the capital of the Nguyen dynasty from 1802 to 1945, and then to Tianhui today, where culture has left a deep impression on Vietnamese culture. The values of Hue culture are not merely the values of palaces, pavilions, walls, and tombs associated with particular natural elements, but also the subtlety and the creativeness in the decorative art. The most original are the decorative style one verse, one picture, and one character, one picture. Royal literature consisting of verses, characters, and parallel sentences on where royal architecture was chosen from Nguyen Emperor's famous works and then inlaid, encrusted, enameled, or engraved in relief on the constructions in Hue capital in the periods of 1802 to 1945. In spite of war, devastation, natural disasters, and the impact of human beings for long periods of time, Hue still preserves a large quantity of verses on royal construction such as Nun Gate, Tai Hoa Palace, Kieu Temple, Te Temple, Hưng Temple, Long An Palace, Minh Mang's Tomb, Tiêu Chi Tomb, Dục Duk's Tomb, Dong Khánh Tomb, Khai Ding's Tomb, and Linh Mu Pagoda. According to statistical data, there still exist 2,679 verse panels. The same number is with the picture panels encrusted, lacquered, and inlaid with mother of pearl on wood, on enamels covered with porcelain and terracotta. This is really a lively museum of literature under the Nguyen dynasty. At the beginning day of the capital establishment, 1802, literary decoration on constructions was popularly used and became the rule of the court. Therefore, at Nun Gate, Tai Hoa Palace, Dai Kung Gate, Can Chang Palace, Tai To Temple, Hưng To Temple, Te To Temple, and so on, poetry was decorated on 3 horizontal decorative panels and high longitudinal framed boards in the interior and exterior of the constructions. And the decoration style of one verse panel or one character panel going with picture panel created one verse, one picture, and one character, one picture, the particular decorative styles in Nguyen royal architecture. In this stage, materials such as precious wood, mother of pearl, bones, or at higher level, elephant tusk and enamels, bronzes, which were enameled, were used to create verses, characters, and pictures. The verses were chosen from Emperor Minh Mang's and Emperor Thieu Chi's most famous work and then written by the most talented calligraphists of the royal court, while the pictures were drawn according to the topics by the most skillful artists. Subsequently, they were carved, encrusted, inlaid on wooden boards in fixed size and attached directly on the constructions. Later, they could be embellished with vermilion and gilding, lacquered or varnished, in order to create 3 horizontal decorative panels and high longitudinal frame board, roof walls, walls of the palaces, pavilion, and so on. As for enamels, artists wrote on bronze boards and then decorated them with enamel. Colorful enamel panels of verses and pictures were completed and decorated the interior and exterior of the constructions, roof walls, and the top of the gates. This decorative style was applied not only in imperial palaces, but also in private palaces, royal top-over palaces, places for emperors to have a rest on his trip far away, and royal gardens. Hue relics has a remarkable transformation in Thieu Chi's time from 1841 to 1847. The official regulations on architecture and decoration in Minh Mang's times developed at a higher level and were associated with the subtlety and the elegance in this talented and scholarly emperor's personality and literary writings. Typically, in this stage, there were Minh Mang's tomb, Hương Nguyen Pavilion, and Thiên Mu Pagoda, Long An Palace, Minh Trung Pavilion, originally belonging to Bao Dinh residence, but later converted into Tân Thọ Viên and Di Luân Đường of Quang Tử Giám. The evidence for the decorative achievements of one verse, one picture, and one character, one picture styles in this stage is Long An Palace. Long An Palace is considered to be the most beautiful one of Vietnam by lots of artists. 429 verse panels in Han script in different themes and topics, with various contents and in various forms and styles, is the pinnacle of sculpture and carving architecture of the time. It can be said that Long An Palace is a typical example of the crystallization of ancient Vietnamese sense of beauty. Traditional topics of the pictures are about spring, summer, autumn, winter, ducks in the lotus lake, pine trees and crowns, 8 wooden weapons for ornaments of Confucianism and Taoism, vases of flowers and fruits symbolizing good fortune, and so on. In addition, different kinds of architectural techniques are used in the poems in Long An Palace. Carving in relief and in intaglio gilding, traditional red lacquer, mother of pearl inlay, and animal bone or elephant tusk inlay create a lively splendor and scholarly elegance. In Long An Palace, there are specifically 2 interesting antiques, 2 palindromes, and interrupted verses inlaid with mother of pearl. They are unique works of art which can be read in 64 verses of complete meaningful contents and prosody. They are Vu Trung Sơn Thủy and Phước Viên Văn Hồi, Lương Dạ Màn Ngâm. The poems in Long An Palace are about the poet's inner feelings, but they are also reflect of emperor's mood and responsibility. They mention important affairs of the person in the highest position, such as casting the emperor's seal, proclaiming the new calendar, ploughing the field, granting the amnesty, approving or injecting petitions, practicing the military drills, implementing safety measures for rivers, giving priority policies for remote areas, and so on. The poet's emotions are also expressed in the vast space and time of spring, summer, autumn, and winter, with clouds, flowers, the moon, and so on. Minh Mang's tomb is another successful example of one verse, one picture, and one character, one picture decorative styles, and it confirms the profound hallmarks of decorative art. Decorative poetry here is mainly concentrated on constructions of the holy axis. As for the poems carved on wood, the steel house Biding has 64 verse panels. Hien Đức Gate 42, Sung An Temple 111, Minh Pavilion, Minh Lo 216. Similar to other constructions, the poetry in Minh Mang's tomb has not only high aesthetic values of architectural decoration, but also good effects on the people's aesthetic feelings, beautiful, elegant, aristocratic, and intellectual. The weather in Hue is severe and the humidity is very high. To avoid being destroyed by the weather, one verse, one picture, and one character, one picture decorations in the open air are carved on enameled bronze wells. This particular type is often used on the roof walls of the constructions. Tai Hoa Palace has 47 verse panels on the roof wall, Sung An Temple 14, Biêu Đức Temple 36, Ngũ Hỷ Temple, Đông Khánh Tomb 14. Besides, at the gate of Phung Tien Temple, the gate was of Nhật Tình, Nguyệt Anh, Trung Đào Bridge. In the Imperial City, Minh Mang's tomb and Thiệu Trì's tomb, this special material is also used. These verse panels create particular aesthetic effects when we enjoy the beauty of Hue relics from the outside. From Đông Khánh times on, from 1895 to 1898, Vietnam was much influenced by Western civilization, and the system of Hue royal architecture appeared with new architectural types. Those with reinforced concrete, decorated with porcelain mosaic. Therefore, in Hue royal architecture, besides the major system of wooden architecture, there are constructions built with hard materials adapted from the architectural style of Neoclassicism. The most typical example of this architectural transitional period is Khai Ding's tomb. The construction is at its peak as far as the technique and the art of porcelain mosaic are concerned. In Khai Thanh Temple, there are 24 verses written directly on picture panels in a lively way, and 10 parallel sentences meticulously engraved with porcelain on the walls. The parallel sentences praise beautiful landscapes, and what's mentioning is the decorative pictures engraved with porcelain, which serve as poems as well as pictures. This is a variant of a decorative style one verse, one picture. From the establishment of the royal literature on Hui royal architecture, and according to a comprehensive survey of their existing forms and contents, we can come to the conclusion. As far as the form is concerned, they are decorative pictures of high values. The verses, characters, and pictures are highly regarded as decorative pictures with their intellectual contents, which help make Hui palaces more splendid, elegant, and scholarly. Verse panels are the works of calligraphy and the dynasty reaching their peak. After choosing emperor's most typical verses, the most talented calligraphists of the court were assigned to carry out the works of art. Therefore, they are the calligraphy works representing the Nguyen dynasty's art of calligraphy from 1802 to 1945. Verse panels are unique, exquisite handicrafts. After the talented calligraphists expressed their ideas on the materials as required, the most skillful craftsmen of the Nguyen dynasty carved, inlaid, enameled them, designed them in mosaic, or coated them with plaster. Therefore, verse panels are Vietnamese traditional works of fine art at their peak. With 200 years of existence, the poetry, as we have analyzed, has stood the test of time and is highly regarded as the invaluable antiques, making a superb collection of ancient artifacts in various forms which can be found nowhere. As far as the content is concerned, this is an extremely valuable and important source of authentic historical materials for examining various issues during the period of 140 years full of historical events. Verse panels are a storehouse of literature in a Vietnamese historical period, containing many typical works representing the country literature of a dynasty from which it came into being. Aware of its importance, on May the 8th and the 9th, 2015, a large-scale conference, Royal Literature, consisting of verses, characters, and parallel sentences on Hui royal architecture, was organized for the purpose of receiving an objective acknowledgement of their values by Hui Monuments Conservation Center. 40 scientists with 33 well-qualified speeches highly evaluated the uniqueness of the royal literature on Hui royal architecture. All approved on the values as mentioned, and many prestigious scientists hold that the royal literature on Hui royal architecture is unique in Hui. It can be found nowhere in the country and even nowhere in the world. That it has a particular world-class value. Any damage or destruction to it would exert a strong influence on the world's cultural heritage, and that all specially confirm the authenticity of the royal literature. It is original and no human interference has ever happened since it was created. Nowadays, few people take interest in old Han scripts. Popular verse panels are considered decorative ones. However, they play an important role in creating aesthetic effects. For a long time, as valuable antiques, they have been formally and elegantly arranged on the most stately positions in the most important constructions of the dynasty. They are certainly highly valued as unique traditional works of fine arts, meticulously made by skilled national traditional artisans, and as original works of calligraphy highly appreciated by connoisseurs. To literary circles, they are immortal literary works and have been considered the literary quintessence to Vietnamese people for nearly 1.5 centuries. As for researchers, they are trustworthy historical materials for studying various issues related to the dynasty. The royal literature, consisting of verses, characters, and parallel sentences on Hui relics, is considered a great pride, the precious cultural treasure created by the predecessors and a crystallization of the past intellectuals. It is an invaluable collection of antiques showing the craftsman's talent and represents the achievements of the traditional fine arts of a period. Therefore, the royal literature of Hui relics must be maintained, conserved, and protected for Vietnamese people in particular and for the world in general.